Day and have a lot of things in my calendar, many press arrangement that I need to do. Yeah, I don't know my calendar, so it's just take it hour by hour because it's just so much has happened. I think you can always discuss the trustworthiness both of Trump but also of Rutte, and I think in many ways it was a very unclear message because they were saying two different things even though they went to the same meeting. So I think in many ways it's a time where you need to be very skeptical and you need to use your common sense, and that's what I'm doing at least. So I think it's important for us to say that we should keep our hearts warm, but always keep our minds on the table and on what's happening, because this is a very difficult situation for Greenland, of course. I'm so sorry I didn't put on my Greenlandic ring because it's been so busy, so it's still in my purse. Greenland is not for sale, so that's out of the question at any time. And of course, there's another debate, which is about military presence and maybe even more military presence. And I think that's great that NATO is also engaging in that question, because before we could talk about high north, low tension. We can't do that anymore. And therefore, of course, it's important for us to have that kind of debate on a diplomatic level in order to make sure that, we strengthen the defense. But to be honest, I think it's also important to say that, what is the threat when it comes to the Arctic? Right now it's been from US. I think it's great that it's off the table for now. But I also think it's important to say that the threat, for example, from Russia or from China is not something that I'm seeing, and I know the numbers. So I think that's an exaggeration. I think there's a gray zone, and I think there's something we need to be aware about, and that's the distinction between, buying country or buying part of the country, which is completely off the table, and on the other hand, making more American military bases in Greenland. And I think it's also important, because I was just in Greenland, to say that when I was speaking to people were actually quite appalled by everything that is happening, and I think the distance from Greenland to Denmark, or the distance from Greenland to US is something that is just, becoming bigger and bigger, because people are just really appalled by what US is doing. And just talking about our country as a big chunk of ice, instead of really realizing that there's people living there and respecting that the rights that we have fought for decades and that we'll keep fighting for is something that is being respected. There's actually people living in Greenland.
There's a little bit of anger towards the NATO Secretary-General. Do you fear he's kind of overstepped the mark a little bit, promising things perhaps to President Trump?
Only time will tell if he's standing on the right side of history.
Men så